Welcome to the Best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas, a weekly segment dedicated to putting the focus on the amazing things and the amazing people behind them in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is sponsored by and content is provided by St. Barnabas. The show airs every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 on WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. Now, with no further ado, let's welcome host Mike Romigh to introduce today's program.
That's a good thing.
Good morning and welcome to the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. I'm Mike Romigh. Starting in 1900, St. Barnabas has been caring for people in southwest Pennsylvania, and today in Allegheny, Beaver, and Butler counties, we offer a full continuum of care for our residents and patients. This includes luxurious retirement living, personalized living assistance, and hands-on skilled care in our nursing center. The St. Barnabas Health System continues to be focused on the needs of our community and our residents now and in the future, and through the St. Barnabas Medical Center offers the following healthcare services to the community and our residents: a full dentistry, home health and home care, hospice and palliative care. We look forward to having insightful conversations benefiting you and your family's well-being. And throughout this radio show, we will introduce you to successful individuals who are making a difference in the greater Pittsburgh region, as well as talk about new and enlightening topics every month. Our guest this morning is Jim Christiana, once our district representative, and now co-founder of a company called M7. Jim, good to see you again.
Great to see you, Mike. Thanks.
Looking well?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, how long has it been since you've been out of politics?
I left at the end of 2019, or the end of 2018, the beginning of 2019. So, coming up here on almost 4 years.
All right, do you miss it?
No. Safe to say that I don't miss politics.
Yeah.
And 10 years was just enough.
Yeah. Very good. So this, well, first of all, for those who don't understand and don't know you, and I'm sure so many of them do, but give a little background on yourself. Center Township?
Well, my office was in Center Township for 10 years. I was always from Beaver. I went to Beaver High School and Washington and Jefferson College, and when I was in college, I was elected as a councilman in Beaver, and then I ran for the state house in 2008. And I was elected to the state house. I had a 10-year term limit pledge, and I honored that. And I said, it was kind of an agreement. I said, if the voters elect me for 10 years and keep that their end of the deal, I'll keep my end of the deal, and I'll leave after 10 years. And so I left in 2018.
Yeah, one of the few who keeps that promise, because so often it's politics is one of those things that kind of draws you in. It's addictive in a sense for a lot of people.
Yes, and I kind of understand that.
Yeah. There's a power involved with it, right?
Sure, and there's a sense of, I mean, I think even those that are motivated for all the right reasons, there's a sense of sacrifice, I guess, for lack of better words, and it is a place that you can make a positive impact on your community, on your constituents, on the state, but it does have a way of, I think, sucking you in if you don't have a firm exit strategy, for sure.
And we're seeing in Josh Kale, who is running again, but he keeps increasing his family, and that's going to be difficult for a person who has to split their time between Beaver County and Harrisburg.
I think it's always a sacrifice, but I also think that, his wife Abby is just an amazing person, an amazing mom. She seems to always be smiling, and I think up to 8 kids, but
at last count.
But I think it's really I think it's great that the Kale family has embraced this position, and still Josh is a dedicated father and husband, and yet still very dedicated to his job.
Yeah. You talked about growing up in Beaver, going to Beaver High School, and your terms and whatnot. But going back further than that, you were a pretty good athlete in your day.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to relive it too much because, I'm sure you talk to a lot of people that talk about the glory days. I don't know if it was the glory days, but yeah, I mean, I was pretty passionate between the lines, and as passionate I was about politics and my company, it all started back then, and I was
Yeah.
pretty competitive. I
Basketball.
played soccer, basketball, and I kicked for the football team the last couple years of high school. Ultimately, I played soccer at W&J until I got involved in politics, and I've always been a diehard sports fan.
Yeah. So there's a competitive nature about you.
Yeah. I was actually explaining to somebody the other day, people oftentimes say how they're competitive and they're competitive. I believe, for me, I'm competitive not because I love the feeling of winning. It's actually not about winning to me. It's actually about hating the feeling of losing more than I like the feeling of winning, right? And so that's why I'm a competitor is I just don't want to lose. It's not so much if I want to celebrate the wins and I care about winning or beating somebody else. It's just, sports has always, and competition has always driven me to be the best that I can be. And oftentimes in a head-to-head competitive nature like politics, right?
Sure, yeah.
You just don't want to lose.
Yeah. And who inspired that in you? Who motivated you as a young person? Your coaches, family, anybody?
No, it's interesting. I don't want to make it sound more of a fantasy than it really was. I mean, I think for me, sports was a way to just stay focused and determined. I think growing up in Beaver County, it's been part of our history. It's always been part of, my family has always had a love for sports. My uncle was an umpire of baseball for a really long time. My stepdad played sports at Beaver. My dad was an athlete in Hopewell. So for me, sports has always just been part of who I am.
Okay, so this isn't a program called This Is Your Life, but I understand, they gave me some information here. It says that you were also on the court with the Harlem Globetrotters.
I was. That was probably the last time I was competitively on the basketball court. I had just been elected, and they were doing a fundraiser, and it was quite an experience. I mean, I still, we did a photo shoot for a new company I started, M7 Sports, which markets athletes, high school athletes, college athletes, and sports retail companies. But we were doing a photo shoot, late night photo shoot this week, and I got on the court and I put a ball in my hand and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
You and Sean Miller.
Yeah, I guess. Once it's in the blood, it's in the blood. I did a soccer shoot a couple weeks back, and I just, in some ways you miss that competition. That something about sports. I got it from golf for a while. I think that's why later in life people, former athletes really get attracted to the game of golf, because it gets that blood flowing like it used to back when you played competitive sports.
It's the challenge with yourself, right?
It really is.
It's not anybody else out there. It's you and that ball. So did you drill a 3 when you held that basketball?
I did. Actually,
Yeah.
I've realized it is kind of like riding a bike in some ways,
Okay,
right?
you don't
have the stamina to go as long as you do, but I think for anybody thinking about getting in there, getting out and playing adult league sports or working out and exercising, they have that reservation. Just do it. Honestly, take that first shot or take that first step in the gym, because I bet you haven't lost it as much as you thought you have.
Yeah. See, he's just still young enough to not know those aches and pains and the sprains.
Oh,
and
they're there.
that go along
Don't worry
with
about the consequences, right? Don't let the consequences get in the way.
Very good. Okay, so in politics, when you were a state rep for 10 years, what was your crowning achievement? What were you most proud of?
Well, it's hard not to look at the cracker plant and look at what looks like a small city. And my dad worked at a steel mill. My stepdad put on a hard hat for 37 years at Bruce Mansfield. And you look at the decline of Beaver County over the years and how many jobs and employers and plants left or they packed up, and we're still dealing with the eyesores. But to see that much economic activity, that brand new, every day, literally to see that every day is something that I'm really proud of. That economic incentive legislation that I introduced and ultimately got passed, and thanks to Senator Vogel and Jim Marshall and the whole delegation, but that to me is really special. But if you were to ask me the most impactful thing that I did, aside from that, or 1A, 1B, working with McGuire, the school at McGuire, to get them approved private school status. Still to this day, when you think about them being able to get $4 million every single year in perpetuity, plus adjustments for inflation for them to help the most physically, behaviorally, and emotionally challenged students, and to give them a place to get the best educational opportunities. That will never be topped. I mean, it might be 1A, 1B, but for me, the fact that that school will thrive and help kids forever is really special.
Well, and with the cracker plant, there were a lot of people who said it would never happen. With McGuire, I'm old enough to remember when it was just an old brick building over there, and did some tours in there, and it was pretty sad to see. And the work they do is remarkable, but for you to be able to do that and help with that, and the campus that they have now is just incredible. I mean, they have homes at different places around Beaver County that assist that. Education was always important to you, as I remember our many conversations.
And it still is. Even my marketing and advertising firm, M7, we've done quite a bit of marketing, messaging in the education space, and I just think when those clients see the passion in me and my team, it's hard not to want to gravitate to that and to work with it. We've done recruitment campaigns, and we've done marketing and messaging for education providers, and it's a very diversified approach all the way up from pre-K to the universities and colleges in our area. It's just, to me, if people want change and societal economic change, education is the way to do it. Yeah. A diverse, robust, high-quality education system is the model to change.
Is the state, at this point, putting enough money in education, going to the proper places?
I think so. If you look at the economics, I think on the spending level, I mean, we're up there as top 2 countries in the world that spends on education, in Pennsylvania. Consistently ranks high on the spending aspect. But for me, I do think that we need to provide, especially in this post-COVID world with so many opportunities and new tools and the way to use technology, I think we can give all of our public schools, all of our schools, more ways to invest in programs and high-quality teachers that can provide those in order to give kids more opportunities. And particularly right now, one thing I'm really motivated about is allowing kids to have all the tools to market themselves. In this day and age, every kid should have the opportunity to brand themselves in a way for success in the future.
And that's what you're doing with M7.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that coming up in the second half of the program, because it is interesting and very exciting. And as far as M7 is concerned, when the pandemic hit, did that affect you at all? Because you transitioned very well into the digital age.
Well, we're forced to transition in some ways. I think we were a new cutting-edge kind of firm, started in 2019. And then 2020 happened, and we were primed for so much growth. And then, boom, March of 2020 happened. The biggest thing that it did was to limit our growth. But we didn't miss a payroll, we didn't have any layoffs. We navigated that world like so many did, and then 2021 came, we were shot out of a cannon, and we had a great year.
Yeah, very good. Difference between the political world and the business world now that you're a business owner?
How the business world has boundaries in your work, and while you're the owner, and that means that you have to work nights and weekends a lot of times, it's amazing how the public sector, when you go to the grocery store, it never turns off. Like, as a state rep even, right, let alone Congress, the Senate, you're always on.
Yeah.
And you can turn it off. You can turn it off and spend time with your family and not worry about constituents seeing you on vacation and getting mad at you.
Yeah, our guest is Jim Christiana, former state representative from the 15th Legislative District, now co-owner of a business called M7, and we'll talk more about that and all the other exciting things that Jim has transitioned to since being in politics, as we continue on the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. Employees working within the St. Barnabas health system are apart from the ordinary in their work and the population they serve. Of the many things that make St. Barnabas health system apart from the ordinary is an appreciation for their employees, an act that does not go unnoticed. Let's learn more about what this means from one of the employees.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Sandor, and I'm a nurse practitioner at St. Barnabas Health System. I'm blessed to be an employee of St. Barnabas. As a nurse practitioner, I strive to maintain optimal health of residents and staff here at the facility.
Find out about the exceptional career opportunities St. Barnabas has to offer by visiting stbarnabashealthsystem.com/careers for more information, or by calling 724-444-JOBS. That's 724-444-5627. Find out why St. Barnabas is apart from the ordinary. And it's the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. Our guest today is Jim Christiana, former district representative and co-founder of M7. And that's something that Jim has been involved with for the past couple of years. And you started as M7. Now, you were just telling me before we came on the show that you've branched into another realm of that business, and that is with sports. What is M7? What does the name mean?
Thank you for asking, because I get it all the time, and it's actually one thing I love to talk about.
It's not the British Secret Service.
It is not.
No,
it's not MI6. It's not a BMW car.
Okay.
M7 is named after Matthew 7. In Matthew 7, we are challenged to encourage to seek a unique, narrow path. Enter through the narrow gate, seek the narrow path, what does that mean? Well, everybody else takes this broad path and takes this kind of standard approach. And in many ways, from a marketing and messaging perspective, that's what we try to do every day, which is, there are no shortcuts on the narrow path. It's usually tumultuous, but it leads to what we see is that if we take that unique one-of-one approach with clients, we find the best pictures. We find the best stories. We're able to tell emotionally and effectively captivating stories and visuals, right? And so that's where it comes from.
Who do you focus on? And your idea when you first were inspired to do this, what was the object? I mean, you're getting out of politics, you had a wealth of knowledge and networking, but what did you want to do? Now you're getting involved with high school sports, athletes and branding and things like that, but at the beginning, what was it?
It was giving people a product and a service that cared about who they were, individually. Yes, but at the end of the day, a business, like, there's an executive, there's a CEO, there's a founder, there's a customer on the other end, right? So it's still about people. The epicenter of everything that I do is about the relationship, and I've been really blessed to have a team of almost a dozen people that relationships matter to them. And they're passionate about going to work every day. And so M7, it's about the relationship. And, so then this transition into M7 Sports, and it's not really a transition because it's what we do already, but we have started a subsidiary that just focuses on sports, particularly high school athletes, marketing them to college recruiters, and now soon to be name, image, and likeness deals with the PIA looking to allow name, image, and likeness deals for high school athletes. And then on the college level, marketing college athletes to name, image, and likeness opportunities, but also marketing them to where most of them are going to land, which is in the professional universe, right? In the professional world, and giving them a platform to market themselves. And here's the thing. Everybody's talking about these major contracts and the money and name, image, and likeness and these huge endorsement deals. But for me, these are kids. These are 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. Almost all the agencies are taking a commission of those deals, right? They're taking a cut. We have an athlete-first promise at M7 Sports that we will not take any commission from a name, image, and likeness deal. We believe that money belongs exclusively with the athlete. We provide them value on a different level other than just deal making, right? We're doing the hype videos, and we're providing them the ability to put a website or a logo design, the creative piece. And that's where our value comes from, is putting a plan for them and giving them the tools to market themselves. And the contracts will take care of themselves.
And so you don't act as an agent for them? Your people act as an agent for them?
No, I mean, in the traditional sense, we have to register to be agents in Pennsylvania. And so, yes, we're agents, but we don't believe in the agent commission-based structure. You know, we get a piece of the deal in the sense. Are we the facilitator and arranger of the deals? Yes. Are we putting them in a position to market themselves to get those deals, and will we help them through that process? You bet. But the way we think of agents in this day is taking a cut. No, we don't want any parts of
This is
that.
very interesting because as a former high school athlete yourself, you know the parents, and the parents say, well, you know, if this coach isn't pushing your kid or my kid, then they're not going to get a scholarship. They're not going to go anywhere. So it takes that highlight reel and everything else for that coach or the athletic director to get behind. And a lot of times they just don't have the time, or you're not, you know, one of the favorites. So what you're doing here is saying, hey, listen, you think your kid, boy or girl, is good, they're standout, we can help mold that image, the branding, as you say, and get them out there on that.
100%. We want to empower the individual athlete, but what you also said, Mike, is spot on. That even the best coaches, the best athletic directors, they don't have the tools yet, and we're going to help this, but they don't have the tools yet to allow all of their programs and all of their athletes to be marketed, to have a platform. We're actually just launching now a platform for schools to be able to give all of their teams an affordable way to market themselves, so that parents don't have to do it, and those coaches who are in a great position to advocate for their kids, but they can advocate for them all. And then ultimately, when the kid leaves, they're taking with them a platform to market themselves in college and beyond. Now with the digital tools that are out there, with our ability to have affordable video and photography, we can present schools with an extremely cost-effective way to give all of their kids, all their programs, all their athletes a way to market themselves.
And being involved in the media for so many years, there are a lot of people that I know that I've come across that I don't know a thing about media. I don't know a thing about this digital editing or any of this stuff. And so parents and high school students are at that crossroads, and you facilitate that.
We do. And I recognize a lot of parents are struggling because you look at the impact that social media is having on their kids. But when I was 16, 17 years old, I didn't have social media either. Yeah. So for the next 10 years, maybe even longer, we're going to have kids using a very powerful tool, a very powerful weapon as well, that their parents have no idea necessarily how it impacts their lives because they've never been there. Yeah. We've used it as adults now, right? I think, but a 16, 17-year-old kid with that weapon and that tool in their back pocket every single second of the day is something that I think parents are even looking to say, hey, can you help me put some best practices in place?
Yeah, and it's there's a big difference between getting a raw video or platform out there versus what you're talking about, branding, and a lot of people don't know that how important that is, how key that is, based on what you're going to be able to do and enhance that and make it look professional.
Yes, and so much of this too is to give them the professional brand look in that toolkit to really market themselves to the world, whether that's college recruiters, employers, or companies for NIL deals. But there's also the downside of it and the risk, which is we do a lot of digital audits, brand audits, right? We need to kind of sit down with parents and athletes and kids and go through and say, you know, this content that you're putting out is potentially dangerous to your future, and here's why we should look at changing it. Or let's go to the positive side. How about these transitions and this tool and this platform, and show your fan base, you know, what it looks like for you, a D1 recruit after school, and the stack of mail, and let's peel back the curtain a little bit. This is really good content that we think will get high engagement from your audience. So it's the good and the bad that I think we help kids with those platforms and give them that advice.
So whether it's a high schooler looking to go into college or business coming to you and say, okay, so who are you going to reach? How are you going to help me? How many people? Let me see your portfolio in terms of you're telling me you can do this. I'm willing to pay you, but show me what you've done.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, it is a lot to take in. And if you look at what's going on in college with the recruiting piece and the transfer portal and millions of dollars, billions of dollars being thrown around, it's overwhelming. And so what is the word that matters? To me, that's trust. You know, is that agent, is that company sitting at your kitchen table one that you can trust? One that looks at making money as a byproduct? Same as votes. I always thought getting votes was a byproduct of doing the right thing. Similarly in business, I think making money and being profitable is a byproduct of taking care of your clients and making good decisions, hiring good people. And so I think people want to have trust with that partner. School districts want to have that trust, and I think we're in a great position to be able to offer that, you know, based on, if you look as the CEO of M7 Sports or the president of M7 Sports and the managing partner of M7 Agency, look at my record, and hopefully that gives people the reassurance that we're here for the long run.
I saw a video clip on LinkedIn that M7 did for Geneva College.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It's a really cool project. You know, Geneva is just, you know, I look at their Christian foundation, their legacy in this community, their leadership. I think Geneva is a shining light on a hill for many years to come. And I think what Geneva is doing with their rebrand and kind of their relaunch of their brand and their image, yet remaining consistent and true to who they are and their principles, I think is a great model of how you can navigate higher education in this new normal, this post-COVID normal. If you look at the cliff that's coming in higher ed, I mean, within 3 years, you're going to have 500,000 less kids on college campuses. I think it's innovative for what Geneva is doing, looking and saying, okay, we still believe there's a brand for a Christian college and for intentional education, purposeful education. We just might need to put our advertising on different platforms. We might just need to tweak the way in which our logo or our images in order to be more effective with the next generation, yet remain true to who they are. I think that's the model for higher education moving forward.
Through the pandemic and the social distancing, this has become a reality for a lot of schools and a lot of businesses where people are working from home or learning from home now.
Yeah, it's disruption. And I don't usually say disruption with a negative connotation, because I see disruption, and I've always have, as an opportunity. But the higher education space there's disruption coming. There's a value proposition that a lot of colleges are struggling to make now with the next generation. Why should we pay tens of thousands of dollars? Provide me the value proposition of why that makes sense. Those that can make that argument, I think, are going to be successful. Those that struggle to make that and can't make that are going to fail. I hate to say that word, but they are going to fail.
You fall behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the technology. So it's something that at M7 you're continuing to watch and to try and stay on the cutting edge of.
Well, and play a very active role in that. I mean, for those innovators that want to change and don't want to be swept up with this tide, we're perfectly positioned for them. And the reason is that we push ourselves every day to do something unique, to stand out, to be that outlier, to not just be the same old, same old. It's the training of politics, right?
Sure.
Why do people hate political ads? Because they all look the same. The good news is M7 ads don't look the same. No matter if it's a college, a healthcare company, or a political candidate, we push ourselves to be on that narrow path.
Where can our viewers and our listeners see more about M7?
M7.agency, and our link to M7 Sports, which is m7sports.agency. You can find us on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. And yeah, thanks.
Okay. And there are businesses and ways to contact you and your staff of 10 at this point?
Yeah, we have 10 employees right now and looking to grow. And we're blessed. If I've done one thing right, Mike, over the years, whether it was when I was a state rep or here, I've been blessed to find some amazing talent. And I wouldn't have had the success then or now that I have without them.
Jim Christiana, former state representative from the 15th Legislative District, has retired from politics, opened a business called M7, which stands for Matthew 7. Look them up at m7.agency.
Agency.
m7.agency. Jim, thank you for being here. It's
Mike,
great to see you again.
Thanks for having me on.
Very successful young man and continues to be, and help the people in Beaver County, as always, and the surrounding areas. Thank you for watching the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. I'm Mike Romigh. Stay healthy and be safe.
Thank you for listening to the Best of Beaver County. St. Barnabas is pleased to have provided content and sponsorship for the program. Tune in this Sunday at 11:30 for an encore presentation of today's program on Beaver County Radio. And next Thursday at 11 for another edition of the Best of Beaver County on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.